want to share a story with you, an experience I had a few weeks ago. And I will bring it back to this idea at the end, but I'm going to divert for a little while and it's going to sound like I'm talking about something different. So, part of my odd experience in life at this point is I experience everything as aspects of consciousness. And when you have that experience, you can communicate with parts of your reality that you would not believe it's possible to communicate with from another place. I certainly didn't think it was possible not too long ago in my life. So at this point, I talk to trees on a regular basis. They are profound beings. And I'm staying right now with a friend of mine in San Rafael. And there is a large ponderosa pine tree in the yard that got ill recently. Many of the branches died. It was turning brown instead of green. And my friend knows that I do energy work and various other things, and he asked me if I could connect with the tree and see if there was some way we could help. So I did at a certain point. I went down and went through my process to make contact with its consciousness. And then I did some, various healing techniques, and I perceived that it was a respiratory issue. And I did what I could to clear the infection away energetically and offered it some fresh spring water and a few other things. And I asked if there was anything else that we could do for it. Our wish is that it stays here and stays healthy. And it said that it really likes when we sing songs. Could we come down and sing songs for it more? And I promised that yes, we would. And I was about to leave, and it kind of called my attention back in. And so I went back in to contact with the tree, and it said, I have a gift for you. Come back at the next full moon. Come back at the next full moon, and I have a gift of joy for you. Something I want to share. So is it okay? And, I didn't forget, but I kind of, moved on and went about different parts of my life. I shared with the other people in the house what it had requested, wanted songs, and so on. And then, a few days before the full moon, I noticed the tree out the window. And when I make contact with these things, I like to ask their name and use that as a way to kind of further and deepen the contact. It's kind of a game. They don't really have names, certainly not in English, but it's just a means of establishing a connection. And I looked at the tree and I realized that I could not remember its name. And this told me that it was dying. The spirit was in transition. So the full moon comes around. And the morning of that day, a hummingbird landed on the tree and sang, which I'd never heard before. I didn't know hummingbirds sang. Hummingbirds are generally seen as a symbol of joy. And so this I took as a reminder for me to keep my appointment. So at 3:33 a.m., just the time it happened to be, I went down and made contact with the tree again. And what happened next is a little difficult to describe because none of this is verbal. I'm putting it in words to communicate, but it's not verbal. I went down and I made contact. And before, she had indicated that she would give me a branch that I could make into a wand as a little gift associated with this gift of joy that she was going to give me. And so I brought a saw and whatever else I needed. And so I go down and I connect with the tree spirit. And she shared with me the secret of joy. She said, life is joy. And she shared her life with me. Growing from a young sapling, vulnerable and small in a very large world. Seeing the passage of the seasons, sun and wind and rain. Growing taller. Receiving visits from animals and insects and birds. She loves those visits. Occasionally people. Seeing this house get built. Seeing the world change. Seeing from a different perspective as she got bigger and bigger and bigger. And getting sick. And dying. And she shared with me her pure, perfect joy at every single moment of it. Every last part. Including the illness. Including getting sick. Including dying. She knew she was dying when I was there before. And she asked for songs. Not because they would be miraculously healing in some way. I believe that can happen. I believe in the power of music, but she just asked for them because she likes us. She likes hearing us sing. She likes the contact. That was all. She shared with me her pure, total love and acceptance of every single moment of her life, including her death. Death is also joy, she showed. All of it is joy. A single branch was shining in the moonlight, and so I cut that one off. And later I looked at it, and it was half dead. Normally, when you select wood to make a wand or something like that, you want something that is vibrantly alive. And I thought for a second that I'd misunderstood and I'd taken the wrong thing. And I heard the message, no, this was perfect, because the message for me in this is joy in life and death. Because here's the thing. Here is the consequence of illusion and buying into lies and being afraid of death. If you are afraid of death, you are afraid of life. you're afraid of death, you will never live your life fully. You'll hide, run away from something you can't run away from. When you clear the fear of death at the root of all of these illusions, what happens is not dying, it is actually the opposite. It is collapsing the duality between life and death. And you, from that place, are able finally to fully engage with life. You step into the thing that is the most enlivening, most terrifying, possibly, most exciting thing for you that you would probably avoid if you were too afraid of dying. You step into this thing that you're afraid of, and you experience the freedom that comes from realizing your fear is an illusion. And you are enlivened. You're in love with existence. You feel that pure joy in everything. To surrender to your fear of death is to fully live. It is to fully engage with life. Step into the thing that scares you. Feel the death. Feel the life force return to you, and then do it again. This is human adulthood. Something that very few of us thus far have experienced. Because when you succumb to the fear of death and stop engaging with life, you stop growing. Most of us are 14-year-olds with maybe 40 or 50 years of experience at being 14. It's okay, it's not a problem, nothing wrong. But there are other options. There are other ways to live that bring us the fulfillment, the passion, the experience that we're actually here for. So I invite you to take the first step. Decide authentically, if this is true for you, that you want truth regardless of what it costs. Your illusions will be stripped away. And honestly, if you fight the process and change your mind, you can. But if you keep on going and eventually get to the point where the polarity of life and death can be transcended, then you have the joy of knowing what it is to be fully alive. And that is my wish and prayer for all of us. Thank you.